Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And a very good afternoon to all of our viewers. Selamat siang to our friends from Indonesia. Selamat tengah hari to all Malaysians. And I've been told that by the organizers that we also have participants from India and Philippines as well, isn't it? Okay. So indeed, this is a good opportunity to strengthen our network between Asian countries. So to gain barakah from Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala, so let us start our session today with Ummu Kitab Al-Fatihah. All right, so welcome everyone. Welcome to our dialogue webinar organized by the 3S Dialogue Program. I am Zakuan, or you can call me Zak. I am from the Department of Biotechnology, IIUM, International Islamic University of Malaysia. So I will be your host for today's session. So for your information, the 3S Dialogue Program is an effort by the SociopreneurID, a social enterprise based in Indonesia, which focus on social innovation and entrepreneurship education to provide a sharing session platform on the social entrepreneurship world. So our webinar today is also a collaborative effort between SociopreneurID with 5 other universities in Malaysia, which are University Technology Nasional or UNITEN, University Technology Mara, UITM, University Malaysia Pahang, DRB Highcom, University of Automotive Malaysia, and International Islamic University of Malaysia, in order to promote awareness between countries and also other countries on the concept of waste to wealth in the perspective of social entrepreneurship. So in continuation to this wonderful effort, together with us today, we have 3 panelists from a very diverse background, but with the same objective towards sustainable ecosystem to talk about our topic from today's webinar, which is Waste to Wealth, a circular approach for sustainable entrepreneurship. But before we continue, let me introduce a little bit background about our panelists for today. So the first panelist, we have Dr. Noor Awanis Muslim. She is a senior lecturer and also a researcher at the College of Business Management and Accounting, UNITEN. Dr. Awanis also obtained her PhD in Human Resource Management and Services from Lincoln University, New Zealand. Next, we also have with us today Dr. Desi Aliandrina, the founder and the executive director of the SociopreneurID. Dr. Dessy obtained her PhD in Business Management, also from Lincoln University, New Zealand. She has been involved with the social entrepreneurship since 2013, if I'm not mistaken, and received some awards in recognition to her work, such as the Global Youth Award 2019 and the 2019 Meaningful Business Top 100 Leader. And the third panelist we have today with us is Puan or Madam Noor Jehan Abu Bakar, a lawyer by profession. She is also an environmental advocate. She is the chairperson for the Malaysian Nature Society, Pahang branch, and she is also herself an ecopreneur, running her own eco-based business called Starry Naturals, where she produces home-brewed skincare products made from natural ingredients and sold without plastic packaging. So let us welcome all of our panelists who will be sharing their thoughts and also their ideas with us today. Looking at the combination of the panelists that we have today, I think the topic that we are going to discuss shall be looked from different perspectives. From academic, we have from people from industry, and we also have people from community to listen from their point of view. In the end of the session, we do hope that we all can reach a mutual agreement on whether the concept of waste to wealth is something that everyone should look on to, and also it is our responsibility to encourage our community to preserve our environment by all means. and social entrepreneurship could be the best win-win situation to tackle both social and environmental issues at one time. Ladies and gentlemen, my dear viewers, let me bring you to the topic that we are going to discuss today. I will try to make this topic as simple as it can be. Try to avoid from any technical words so that everyone can understand, because we don't know that maybe some of our viewers may be coming from various background. Okay, so waste to wealth, as everyone knows, is not really a new concept. Okay, so in layman term, it can be defined as the process of generating income or money from waste material that we produce in our daily activities. In fact, it has been in practice in many places. I believe it has been practiced in Malaysia, in Indonesia, in India, in the Philippines, and many other parts of the world. It is a good concept. It has significantly contributed to the socio-economic development in Malaysia. According to the data that I obtained back in 2015 by the Department of Statistics in Malaysia, the recycling sector, which is one of the major activity under the waste to wealth concept, has contributed around 11 million ringgit Malaysia gross output, with the job creation for around 46,000 employees in this sector. However, back in January 2020, Malaysia has been shocked with the return of 42 ship containers containing illegal plastic waste back to the UK in response to the increased rise of the foreign plastic waste in this country. Southeast Asia particularly have been the target to many wealthy countries such as the US and also the UK to send their recyclable waste overseas because it is cheap. It helps in meeting their recycling targets and also reduces their domestic waste. From a business point of view, I would say this may seem like a money-making opportunity for local entrepreneur to convert from waste into a new product. However, not all plastics are recyclable. According to the data obtained from the US Environmental Protection Agency in 2018, out of 35,000 tons of plastic generated, only 3,000 tons were being recycled, while the rest, 27,000 tons, end up in the landfill. So it means that only less than 10% of the plastic generated can be recycled and the remain will end up in the landfill. So just imagine, okay, for a while, if let's say we didn't stop the 42 containers containing thousands of tons of plastic exported to Malaysia, 91% I can confirm, I believe that 91% of the plastic will end up in the landfill in Malaysia instead of being recycled. So this is not really a good thing to hear, especially to our environmental status, as the area of landfills is getting limited and the amount of waste in the current landfill may not be able to support more or unwanted waste, especially coming from other countries. So today, we will be listening on how the concept of waste to wealth can fit in the social entrepreneurship and how social entrepreneurship can help to strengthen the concept of waste to wealth as a circular approach for sustainable entrepreneurship. To all viewers, if you have any questions, if you have any suggestions or ideas, you may write it down in the comment section and I shall ask the panelists during the question and answer session later. So I think I would like to start the, can all the panelists, what about your microphone? Is it working well? Before we start, maybe we can just have a technical check, if there's any technical glitch with your microphone.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Puan Jehan. What about you, Desi?
Okay, yeah.
Good. What about you, Dr. Awanis? Maybe you can speak louder, Dr. Awanis. I cannot hear your voice clearly.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So before we start, come again?
Can you hear me now?
Maybe just put your microphone a bit nearer to your mouth so that.
All right.
Yeah, this is much more better.
Okay.
Yes, good. All right. So if there is no technical glitch, I think we shall start now. So Dr. Awanis, how are you?
Good. Alhamdulillah. Thank you.
Okay. So as a starter lah, macam as introduction. Okay. I would like to start this session with you since you are coming from an academic background, you are coming from the academic world. For a layman perspective, yeah, just consider that our viewers may not come from academic background. So what does it mean by the concept of waste to wealth? And how do you see the business or entrepreneurship opportunity based on this concept?
All right. Thank you, Zach. Thank you for the wonderful questions. And before that, I would like to welcome to everyone. I heard that various countries are in this discussion. All right. Thank you very much. All right. I would like to waste to wealth. I think we should understand first from the basic concept. When we say that waste to wealth is from something that has no value, we transform into value. Something has value, right? So when we say that waste to wealth, we say, oh, okay, why is it we can become rich with this exercise? So before that, we have to know first, waste is something that we unwanted. We don't want this thing anymore in this world, in this house. And waste can come from many sources, from our house, from our school, our university, even our shopping mall. They generated so many waste, all right? So these waste can become wealth if we have the attitude. Okay, we have that kind of attitude. What is attitude? What is the attitude? Attitude to reduce waste. Why we need to reduce waste? Because as we read in the newspaper, waste has become massive generation. When it's massive generation, if we don't manage it properly, it will go straightly into landfill. And what happened to the landfill? The landfill fully occupied. When it fully occupied, I think everyone knows about the environment, how they affect the environment, all right? So that's why we need to know first what is waste and wealth, right? So waste as well, when we say that waste coming from many sources, so in we can say that in simple, we have two kind of waste. We have wet and we have dry. When you say wet, it is like coming from our house when we chopping vegetable, the leftover, the skin, the stem of the vegetable, we have call it as wet. Or we can say wet as well, leftover, food leftover is wet as well, right? And then when we have, it's supposed to be dry. When we eat jam, the jar of jam we finish, we call it as dry waste. But what many people ask me, and even my children ask me, Mom, this is single plastic use. When we go back, we go to the shop, right? So they will give us a plastic because to hold the things. So the plastic that we had, my children ask, is this dry or wet? This is not wet, Mom. And then I said, yes, it's not wet, but we cannot reuse it. Just this is single time use, right? However, so I can say that the dry waste, we can have two. One is directly can be reused, and another one we need to process. But I don't know. This is my HR message. Yeah, with single plastic use, we cannot use anymore. But maybe with the technology, with the process of chemical or whatnot, maybe we can transform into a valuable things, right? So this is how the concept from waste to wealth. Okay, and then and to help this waste to wealth become success is with our habit as well. If we have the habit to help the environment, to help the people, to help our family as well, maybe it can be success, right? And then another habit is when we have that kind of habit, we will find more, reading more about this. And then we can find more info on DIY. I think DIY info is very like, we can say that everywhere with the fingertips. We can have according to throughout the Facebook, throughout the Instagram, throughout the Pinterest and whatnot. All right. So this is I think this is the concept from waste to wealth, and how to make it like synonym or familiar with the social is how we interact it with the social what can say that with the social environment, right? So social environment, like we have this thing sometimes when we have sometimes when we have this kind of DIY turning from maybe something that can be used. So maybe we can share this as well as a social sharing. So we can share with the public what we have done, so the public can follow. So because we need to share about this, that's why it can spread within the community. I think that is all, Zach, in the concept of waste to wealth and how
Mhm.
it be interacted with the social.
What about your personal experience, especially when you are teaching your students, right? Because you are a lecturer in the business school, isn't it? So, you know, do you really, aspire your students to get into this entrepreneurship, waste to wealth business?
Oh, okay. Thank you, Zach.
Yeah.
Right. So from my experience, I guess not really on the student, just to share the things. But I
Mm-hmm.
have the experience. I think once with Dr. Desi in Indonesia, there I visited one. This way I said cancer. It's a public. It's a person. It's a normal person,
Mm-hmm.
but he opened the restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he start from the scratch. So he buy vegetable whatnot, and then
Okay.
the leftover of the vegetable he
Okay.
plant it. Right, he plant it, and then the leftover the skin, onion skin or whatnot, they make a compost. So this compost they put it as a fertilizer to their plants, and when the plant has a outcome, it has the vegetable or whatnot. So they produce again in the restaurant. So I think this is quite a very simple, but very simple and in its worth. And another one, Zach, I would like to share with you
Mm-hmm.
what I did in my house. Right? I'm not an entrepreneur, but I just share to you what I did. Because
Okay.
sometimes when we buy vegetable, sometimes we like overlooking at the vegetable in the fridge, right? So the vegetable like something like almost rotten or almost cannot be used. So I'm just quickly put into the soil. So it grows, all right. And then and then the leftover of the onion peel, of especially when you cut the watermelon, when you cut the pineapple, is a very in bulky, right? So when
Yeah.
you put in a compost, it will reduce your waste. So when I have this thing, so in within 3 months, I can produce my own fertilizer,
Mm-hmm.
soil with the own fertilizer. So I will see that it is not, it is worth for me because I don't have to go to nursery to buy soil or
Mm-hmm.
to buy fertilizer.
Yeah.
So I just use my own. So I can say that I can save my wallet and I can save the environment, and then I can have my own plants. So
Good.
that is the experience that way I have shared with others and with my children as well.
All right. So from the way how you mentioned to us just now, it seems that waste to wealth doesn't have to look onto on the monetary part only. Doesn't have we don't have to look only at making money practically, but we can actually turn it into something that can save our own money. Like say, for example,
Correct.
you use your own food waste that you've generated every day, every single day, and then you can come up with your own compost or your own fertilizer that you may also sell it in the in the market or in the e-market nowadays, isn't it? Okay, thank you, Dr. Awanis, for your
Correct.
response. I'll be back to you soon. So, as business focus is not on innovation, but more on making sure a company is making profit based on known and established products and services. Okay, so let's go to Dr. Desi. So Dr. Desi, what does it mean by social entrepreneurship? I mean, since you are the founder of a sociopreneur of a social entrepreneurship company, and you've been working in this in this field for more than since 2013, if I'm not mistaken. So can you share with us what does it mean by social entrepreneurship, and what differs this with other categories of entrepreneurship that we can see?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Zack. I would say like this: if we talk about social entrepreneurship, I can say that in terms of academic, it's still young because until today there is no consensus about the definitions about social entrepreneurship.
I see.
Yeah, but we know that most of the social entrepreneur will use one seminar work published by Greg Dees. They call him as a father of social entrepreneurship education.
Wow.
Then, because everyone agree with the statement there, we're talking not only about making money or not. The motivation is not only about autonomies and also economy, but to create a change. So that's a social change. So that's the motivation that make a difference between entrepreneur, or we can say that mainstream entrepreneur or business entrepreneur, and also social entrepreneur. So social entrepreneur, if you are entrepreneur, you have a motive mostly for autonomy or or economy. But then social entrepreneur, they have another one. They want to change the social problems. They want to make life better for anyone. So that's how they motivate for that. So in terms of that, according to that definition, so we know that social entrepreneur, they have to sustain finance. They have to make balance between financial and also social mission in order to sustain. So
Right.
that's what makes them different with NGO.
So instead of just focusing only on money making or innovation making, they also have to have the kind of responsibility to make sure that what they are doing is not giving a bad impact towards the social economy itself.
Yeah, I like to say something like this. Because sometimes it's really hard to find the best word to describe. But I like to say like profit for non-profit. The more you gain profit, then you make more impact. So that's the idea actually. Because like if you cannot depend like NGO, sometimes they only depend to grant, they only depend to donations, funds, but there have to have commercial revenue. So that makes them not depend to others support. So something like that.
Okay, all right. So now let's try to relate with the topic of our discussion today, Desi. So does the concept of what, in your opinion, does the concept of waste to wealth can be associated with social entrepreneurship, or is it the other way around? Is it waste to wealth subset to social entrepreneurship, or social entrepreneurship is the subset for waste to wealth? Because it is a two different. Waste to wealth is a concept, right? Social entrepreneurship is another type of concept as well. So, which one complement each other? Is it? What do you think?
So, in my opinion, it's only about the term, but the practice is actually similar, because like you try to solve the environment problem, you try to solve the social issues. You have a motive beside only about the private values. You also have another value, socio-economic value. So that makes you different. That's how make social entrepreneur or ecopreneur different from other entrepreneurship terms. So they have another motive for socio-economic environment. They have another motive for that one. So they you can say like they have more motives instead of not only economic motives.
All right.
So in this term, like waste to wealth, you can see from social entrepreneurship perspective or environmentalist ecopreneur perspective, it's only about definitions. But I mean, like you can apply to any sectors. So, for example, like for us, we also have in all of our practice, we have to practice. We have to make everything environmentally consciousness. So, any programs we created in our company, it has not harm environmental. So that's a practice. Yeah, something like kind of practice. Even though that we are not in that sector. So it's more about the values that you believe, that you practice. So something like that.
Is it because when we talk about environment, it always has to do with social impact?
Yes,
We can't run from, we can separate between environment and social, because when there's an environmental issues, there will always be an impact towards the social.
Yeah, I agree with you, because when we talk about human, we talk about the planet. We talk about planet, we talk about human. So
True.
I mean, like I think it's not necessary to separate it, because they will work together, and then everything you work, you will be on Earth.
Yeah.
Everything you do for Earth, that will human do for the Earth.
True.
So something
Indeed.
like that. Yeah.
That's right. Thank you very much, Desi, for your answer. Since we already know about the concept of waste to wealth from Dr. Awanis just now, and then some success story, or some definition of social entrepreneurship from Desi. So now let's hear some feedback from Madam Jehan as presenting the community, and also the herself. She's an ecopreneur. Okay, so Puan, Madam, how are you doing? Are you okay? Are you doing
Hi,
fine?
Alhamdulillah. Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you clearly. Okay, so as an environmental advocator yourself, okay, and also as an ecopreneur, so what do you think about this concept of waste to wealth, and how do you see this would fit in our community, especially its impact towards the environment and also towards the social cultural of our community?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Zak. Yeah? Okay, a lot has been shared by my learned other panelists, Dr. Desi and Dr. Awanis. I, as the last panelist, would just like to pick up a few salient points that they have already touched on. Yeah? Okay, I would like to talk about my role as a sustainable entrepreneur. My role as a sustainable entrepreneur. When I came up with Starry Natural is a product that does not contain any water. Okay, because you see, when I identified why we had so much plastic bottles in the bathroom, it's because of our dependency on water. Okay, when there is a dependency on water, there is a need for plastic bottle packaging. But when you turn all the products in your bathroom into bars, you don't need plastic bottles anymore. Everything can be sold naked. So the thing is, the environmental problem was plastic, and my solution was bar. So it started, like I explained to you earlier, I'm an accidental entrepreneur actually. I started by solving the problem at my house, in my house first, because I see every month we throw away from our bathroom 4 to 5 plastic bottles, shampoo bottles, shower foam bottles, what do you call that, toothpaste tubes, tubes for facial cleanser. And when I think of all these plastic bottles laying at the landfill for the next 200 to 300 years, it makes me feel guilty towards the earth. So I said, we change what we can first at home, and we change with the smallest room in our home. The smallest room in our home is the bathroom. We don't aspire to change in the kitchen, because then you have to change about 40 types of product to change in the kitchen. So we change in the smallest room in our bathroom, and we started learning to make soaps ourselves. We learned to make shampoo, we learned to make deodorant, we learned to make body scrub, we learned to make facial cleanser. I even went to Syrian to be trained, to learn how to make all these things. So we achieved, 4 years ago, we achieved a plastic-free bathroom. At that point of time, I didn't think about selling yet. I was just thinking, yeah, okay, we made it. Our house is plastic-free when it comes to bathroom. Then I started helping out my parents, my sister-in-law, our relative. Then there are some people who are like-minded, who are equally conscious about the problem of plastic in the bathroom, and they approached me and said, can you make extra? I'll buy from you. And suddenly it started snowballing. The demand for bars started to be there. Okay, it started to become a trend to not use liquid products anymore. It started to become a trend to use bars. And when you use bars, there's no plastic in your bathroom. You can, because these bars are sold to you naked, and or we package it in a piece of paper only. So I'm an accidental entrepreneur, but I noticed that my kind of entrepreneurship is different from the conventional entrepreneur, because most business, they make their customer as their boss. They always say customer is right, customer is right. But in my experience, I've turned down big orders when they decide, when customers say, I want it packaged in plastic. I've said, no, I'm not a plastic person. So the thing is, profit and customer is not the top priority for us. The thing is, the boss is always the earth. The boss is always the environment. So whenever you put that as your benchmark, that your boss is the environment, that the environment is the one that needs protection, then you will not adopt the normal conventional business method, where is customer is always right. Whatever customer wants, they get. But in your role as a sustainable entrepreneur, you need to educate, you need to do advocacy and tell them why you are not using plastic, why you are not selling things in liquid form, why you are using natural products instead of chemical-based products. So it's, besides being an entrepreneur, you also become an advocator for your products, and you also need to educate people on why your products is in the form of bars and not liquid, and why bars are more superior than liquid, why bars are easier to handle and bars are more concentrated and more economical compared to watered down liquid products. Yeah, so that's where sustainable entrepreneurs are different, because we do not make the customer as knowing everything is right, that whatever the customer asks, we give. Because we have already, what Dr. Desi said is correct, motive. The motive of us having this product is what? The motive is to save the environment and to avoid single-use plastic. Okay, sometimes now you go and see, when you go to the pharmacy, you buy a bar of soap. The soap is already coated in a cling wrap, and it's also boxed in a box.
True.
So when you use this, and they give you a plastic bag to take it back. So to use a single bar of soap, you already created 3 ways. That plastic bag that you take it back, the box that it is boxed in, and the cling wrap around that soap. Okay, so you create 3 ways from just wanting to use a bar of soap. But when you use our product, the Starry Natural, you only have a paper wrapping around it, and that paper is biodegradable. So the amount of the amount of waste can be reduced when you use our product, because we do not we do not over package it for you, because when over packaging ends up, the customer pays for it. Every single line of packaging is being borne by the customer. If you see, our product is equivalent to Lush, but we are cheaper. Okay, because lack of product packaging. Another thing is the concept of minimalism. Sometimes people want things to be packaged beautifully for that giving thing, but how long does that feel good feeling last when you get a beautifully packaged product? Because the package will eventually end up as waste. It goes and sit at the landfill. You do not use the package. We are trying to educate our user about the concept of minimalism. It's the gift that matters, not the packaging. Yeah. So this is about balancing the 3 P's: people, planet, and profit. Okay, we do make a profit from selling it, and we do educate the people. We want to make people healthier, and we want to make the planet healthier. So it's a balance between people, planet, and profit. And we also push for, like I said, minimalism. And I would like to share also a little bit on what Dr. Awanis said about waste to wealth. Is about taking something of no value and making it of value. Yeah? I give you one example. Coffee grounds. When we drink coffee, we got coffee grounds. What do we do with it? it is of no value anymore after we drink it, right? Because you cannot make another cup of coffee because it does not taste of coffee anymore. So what I do is I teach community to take coffee grounds, mix it with salt, mix it with some oil, good oils, jojoba oil, coconut oil, and you can turn it into a body scrub. And it's a natural body scrub that does not contain any chemical, and it's a natural body scrub that does not come in a plastic packaging because you made it yourself. Another thing that can be changed from something of no value to something of value is use cooking oil. We cook every day using oil. We fry a lot of fish, we fry a lot of chicken, we've got a lot of cooking oil. What do? Usually we just throw it into our waterways and it end up poisoning our waterways, it end up polluting our waterways. But used cooking oil can be turned into household soap. You add some lye to it and it becomes a soap bar, and it can be used for household cleaning. You can use it to wash your clothes, you can use it to mop your floor, you can use it to clean your furniture. So used cooking oil that is of no value to people usually can be turned into something of value, which is household soap. Okay. So
Interesting. Yeah, interesting. Very interesting to hear about all of your effort that you have done so far. Okay, because from what I understand, it is more on the environmental aspect, right?
Yeah.
You were talking about more on the environmental aspect. So I just want to know, okay, since even though you said that you accidentally bump into the entrepreneurship world, it was based on your personal environmental motive, right? And then I just want to know, since we have to be in our dialogue today, we have to be balanced between our environmental concept and also the waste to wealth concept. So I just want to know about the acceptance from your customer, not just your customer, and also how is your product compete with the well-known brand. You have to make a change. I believe we have to start somewhere, isn't it? But then, what is your final vision? I mean, some of the viewers ask in the comment section. Actually, they want to know what is your final vision in this in your how to say fight against plastic, for example.
Okay. When, like I said, when I became an accidental entrepreneur because of my products, it kind of excited me for a while. Okay. The money is good and everything, but at the end of the day, that is not the whole objective. So what I'm trying to do now is I'm teaching communities how to make soap, how to make lotion bars, how to make shampoo bars. I want more people making it. I do not look on as these people as competition, but you see, the more people making it, it means that more waste does not go to the landfill. It means that more people are leaving plastic bottles, more people are leaving plastic packaging. And another thing is, when we start teaching community how to make their own soaps, how to make their own shampoo, how to make their own lotion, we are also empowering them financially. You see, in times of lockdown and PKPD and COVID-19, people cannot earn well, but if they have got skills on how to make all these things from household products, from coffee, from used cooking oil, they still can generate an income for themselves just by being at home and having practicing this skill, turning this skill into something that will make money for them. And at the same time, it will also help the environment, because the product that will go into market will be without SLS, without SLE, without parabens, without phthalates, because it's all made by yourself and it's all made from natural ingredients. So if you ask me what's my objective in the long run, it's about teaching more people on how to make these products, empowering more women. Especially when we go to kampongs and we talk to women and we talk about asking them to help make a change, they always come and tell us and say that, saya tak kerja, saya tak ada, I'm not working, I'm not highly educated, I get money every month only from my husband. But I tell them, you are a most important decision maker, because you decide what is being bought in the bathroom. You decide what deodorant is being bought. You decide what shampoo, what lotion, what soap is being bought. Your husband does not decide that. He gives you the money and he tells you, go buy things for the home. So I'm talking to the right person, even though you do not have a high education level, even though you're not working, you're not a professional, but I believe you are a strong decision maker and you can make a change for your household, starting from your household, and you can make your family healthy first and foremost by making the right choices for what your family uses. So that's the main objective. The objective is to make more people aware and more people being able to make all these products themselves.
True. Yeah. A lot of people may not understand that actually what we are doing is not to. Of course, we want to, we want to help to save the environment, but we know that we realize that we are just a small figure in the world. But the main point is that to educate, to start from home. So just the problem at the moment is when, when no effort at all is being given to help the environment. So I do agree with what Jehan mentioned just now. Okay, so I have another question. So Desi, okay? So Desi, I just want to know, can you share with us, you've been working for so many projects, okay? Can you share with us some of the, or any success story from your SociopreneurID project that can be related to the waste to wealth concept?
Okay, thank you. I really interesting to learn from Jehan what she just mentioned right now. It's the motives. It's not on at the beginning only for some people that, but then after that it extends. But that's actually what for us a social entrepreneur also think about that one, and I would say it's like actually the first time I work in municipal waste issues that about 16 years ago, 2005. So I worked waste to energy.
Okay.
And yeah, so I work for the European company, and then we conducted a lot of studies here in Southeast Asia. But then at the time, we already know in European, we only talk about waste to energy. But when you come up to, I come back to Indonesia and several other countries here in Southeast Asia, they don't know about that. You cannot talk about waste to energy. They don't even know.
They don't understand.
Don't understand about that. That's not the problem at the time. The problem is about, because you already get used to that kind of behavior.
True.
So it's really hard to, you have to change your behavior first. So that's why it's like at the time, because I mean, like you're in youngsters, you're in your 20s, you face with this kind of problem. Okay, I don't want to work with this anymore. So that's my fail story about municipal waste. But then after that, I start to learn further about that. So in 2014, then I started to work, about talking about waste, municipal waste issues. You cannot solve by yourself. You can do it yourself, but if you want to accelerate it, then you have to ask others to collaborate with you. You have to work together. So we work after that with the government. And then we ask the government what you want to solve. Okay, we have a lot of problem and then issues with municipal problem. So I said it's like, how if we create a platform, then we encourage people not to condemn everything, but to give solutions. So we created what we call it Indonesia Sociopreneur Challenge. That then in the first year national competition, and after that international competition. But we provided them with the real case data come from the government. So the government opened all data about municipal waste. Then we provide it online. Then you have to create based on data. So all of your solutions will fit with the problem. Then in 2 years, we for first years, and then people don't know about, waste bank, right? Waste bank, bank sampah.
Okay.
And then before that's only waste bank, but after that we make them from the conventional waste bank become recycling waste bank. So they have they have a community based waste bank. Then they also can create another product. So from the waste there, then they use for the community itself. So exactly like point Jehan said, it's talk about to empower the community, not only as a consumer, but they become producer. So that's what we do. Then it's because we work with the government and also the academics, then become we call it a collaborative approach amongst ABGS, academic, business, government, and society. Then how do we educate the youngsters? I mean, it's really hard to educate the adult. So we target it to the youngsters, the children. We create the superhero. So we have the superhero figures to protect the city. And it's so that's about the environmental superhero. So when you teach to elementary school, the superhero will come with you. So then you have to segregate waste, you have to do this, and children will follow you. So when you teach the children will teach the parents. So that's how our target is to make the waste come into the landfill. We reduce the numbers. So you have to start it from the household. So that's the idea. So that's why we target with the children. Then the children will teach the parents, because the parents, they will feel ashamed if we don't do that because the kids say that. So that's the strategy, how we work. So we work with the government, we educate people, we created a lot of civic space where you can share about that. We also introduce about urban farming. So you can use also if you already make compost home, then you can use for yourself. Then you have your urban farming, and then there is also competition for urban farming or something like that.
Okay.
So here, what I want to show you is you cannot solve the problem alone. You have to work together with others, with different stakeholders. So that's the idea. Yeah.
So it seems like this waste to wealth concept in social entrepreneurship is more on the global challenge in changing the behavior of the majority communities around the world, I would say.
Yeah, because you have to make sure the change is rooted. Because it's not only in the surface, you have to cut the line. So that's why we go to the children, so we cut the line. Then we also intervene in the adult, but you have to make sure the children not do the same. They change the behavior already. So that's the idea. Yeah.
So because I guess is it because of when we teach school kids, for example, so when we teach the younger generation, they are more understand or aware about the future ahead, instead of some of the adults who've already been used with that kind of attitude. It may but we cannot say that they cannot change. It's just that it's better to focus on the small aspect, on the kids, school kids, rather than just focusing only on the adults. All right. I think that someone I need to find somebody who is playing a song. Can our viewers make sure that you mute your microphone so that we can proceed with our discussion? All right. Okay. All right. Okay. So, our viewers might have some questions or ideas that they would like to share with us. or if you do you have let me see in the Google, let me see in the chat room for a while. But before we proceed, I need to find the participant who is keep on playing the music, because it will be difficult for us to proceed if we keep on interrupting the session. Please respect the session and mute your microphone for a while. If you do have any question, please shout in the comment section. Okay, so there's one question from our friend Joseph. He was the first one who came into our webinar today. Okay, he's from Philippines. So Joseph asked, is it feasible to convert biodegradable waste into household gas for cooking? And there's another question from Noor Aina. How to get social enterprise accreditation in Malaysia? Is it similar to other countries? So we have we try to answer these two questions first, and then we proceed with the rest of the question. Can anyone, any of our panelists would like to answer or respond on the two questions? Maybe Dr. Awanis can respond on the second question on the social accreditation. If they want to have a social enterprise, let me look at the question again, because this question is more related to, I guess, business. How to get social enterprise accreditation in Malaysia? Is it similar to other countries? Do you have any idea on this, Dr. Awanis?
Okay, Dr. Zakuan.
Yeah.
I think in Malaysia we do have some accredit the social enterprise accreditation, but I think the viewer wants to know whether it's similar with other countries. Maybe if Desi has some input on it, and then we can compare.
Okay. Noor Aina, do you have any? Do you have any input on the question that you would like to ask? Obviously, it might be different, right? It might have some different because of due to the fact that different countries have different ways of running the government. But if you do have any questions, input that you would like to support on your question, then you can just feel free to ask. While waiting for the response by Noor Aina, maybe Puan Jehan can respond on the first question about the biodegradable waste.
Okay, so far, if you ask me, I'm not sure whether can or not change your biodegradable waste into cooking gas.
Yeah.
Because that would need a scientist to answer how it's changed and things like that. Well, my background is law and I'm into soup making now. So I'm not very sure whether we can change our biodegradable waste into cooking gas or not. But I know that biodegradable waste, like Dr. Awanis shared just now, it can be compostable and it becomes fertilizer later. And it can also be turned into enzyme. You can Google up garbage enzyme. Garbage enzyme is made from your kitchen waste, your raw kitchen waste, not cooked one. So your raw kitchen waste can be turned into enzyme, and those enzyme can be used for household cleaning also. So that one I do know because it's being done here in MNS by our vice chair, Madam Helen Bong. She's doing a lot of advocacy of turning raw kitchen waste into enzyme. Yeah. But whether or not it can be turned into household gas, I'm not very sure about that. I think it needs a scientist to answer that question.
True,
I'm sorry if I can answer you.
No worries, no worries. Thank you, Puan Jehan, for the feedback. So in continuation to all the inputs given by everyone, I have one more question. So looking back at the example of plastic waste that I have given earlier, kan? So if there is no continuation in monitoring, let's say, for example, everyone wants to focus on waste to wealth, but they did not focus on the social impact from the activity itself. So I just want to know, if there is no continuation in monitoring, we might see some imbalance in between demand and supply. So which is in this case, when majority of the waste generated may not be recyclable. How can we, in your opinion, for any of the panelists may answer, how can we avoid that from happening?
Can I just say something?
Sure.
For a starter. Okay. The thing is, we have always been taught to deal with waste with the 3 R's, kan? The reduce, reuse, recycle. Meaning that we reduce our waste, we recycle our waste, we reuse something or repurpose something. So these 3 R's is not enough actually. If we really want to stop the waste problem, our landfill overfilling problem, we have to adopt another R, which is refuse. Refuse means we refuse taking a single-use plastic bag. We refuse taking a single-use straw. We refuse taking anything that is single-use. We refuse to use things that is in a bottle that cannot be recycled, that cannot be refilled, that cannot be reused. So if our refusal, if all of us practice refusing, then there will be less waste that we need to deal with. Okay, when you talk about Dr. Z, when you talk about monitoring, about it involves enforcement, it involves the government, it involves the pihak berkuasa tempatan, the what do you call that, the local
PBT,
council, and it's not easy for us to get these people to be hands-on with this. So I always say to people that I meet that it has to start with us. We can refuse to take that single-use plastic. We can refuse to use that single-use straw. We can refuse to buy products in plastic bottles. We can refuse to buy things that are packaged in excessive plastic. So the change should always start from us, and we should stop expecting monitoring, enforcement, and things like that from, you know, the people that are supposed to do, because we know that it's hardly ever done. But we know that the change needs to be done, and the change has to start with us. That's all I need to say on this.
Thank you very much, Puan. Any more ideas from Dr. Awanis or Dr. Dessy on the questions mentioned just now regarding the monitoring, regarding to avoid from the imbalance between demand and supply? Obviously, we know that we have to, you know, minimize. Obviously, that's the best thing. But then I'm just afraid that, you know, when we talk about waste to wealth, people only look at the wealth, you know, look only on the wealth part instead of the, you know, the social part. Okay, so if there's no question, I have one more question to ask.
Zach,
yes.
Okay, I just want to top up or add up to the point Jehan issue, ideas. I think I think like you say just now that if we say waste to wealth, people will focus more on wealth because wealth is money. People looking is from surface knowledge. They are looking at wealth as money, but actually it depends. It depends. Actually, it has to go back to the ground, right? Wealth here is how to make it your wealth is in many aspects, in well-being wealth, in pocket wealth, in well-being, in wallet wealth and whatnot. So I think the best way is in order to have that refusing, right? But you have said refuse. We refuse to I'm refused to segregate the waste. Why? Because I don't have waste bin. I don't have separate bin. I don't want to. I'm refused to do to clean up the jar. Why? Because I'm so lazy. Because I just throw it away. It's much easy. So because I have to me we should have this kind of habit first or attitude first. How to make it. How to make it worth. I mean, when you say wealth, is a wealth to the environment, wealth to the well-being, wealth to everybody. So that is how to balance, meaning that to balance is between your attitude, your habit, and and the outcome there. Right. So to me, I just like to add up what point Jehan said just now.
Thank you very much, Dr. Awanis. Dr. Desi, based on your experience, what are the common challenges that you face by you and also your team when setting up a social entrepreneurship program?
The hardest part is to educate people. That's the hardest part, because it's like talking about education. We born with different kind of mental model. We already have our own values, knowledge. We already have our own experience, bias, and everything. And then to to see the similarity is harder than to find the differences, because we like to see the differences instead of the similarity. So that's, if you're asking me what is the hardest part to take the change rooted, is to educate people, because you will come back to your own knowledge many times, no matter how it's hard. So that's why it's like you cannot make the change just from you already make the quality is better, the quality of education better, but you have to make the ecosystem itself, because no matter how good your education, but the ecosystem is not supported you. So technically, I will say that it's not going to work for long term.
For long term, it may not work if the attitude is still the same, isn't it?
Yes,
Okay,
you're right. So that's why it's like social consciousness is very important. Yeah, you educate people, so you have your personal or individual consciousness, but you have to have a social consciousness. And then it's not, and that's the hardest part, actually.
How about the funding last time? Whenever you want to start, a business or entrepreneurship, then we obviously need some fund from the, not just from the government, but as well from, private sector. So how did you was it easy to get funded, especially on, this kind of social entrepreneurship, especially when we talk about environmental issues?
Yeah, for me, it's like I always encourage people, when you want to start a good thing, just start with what you have instead of thinking what you don't have.
All right.
So
start small, I guess.
Yeah, start small. And I always suggest people who wants to become entrepreneur, don't start with other people's money or fund from others, but you want to become entrepreneur, then you have to know how to make it sustain first. Okay. So you have to start by yourself instead of asking others to support you, because as entrepreneur, you are the one who will support others, not others will support you.
Because there's a difference, right, between a business and entrepreneur.
Yes.
So because the business is more looking on the innovation, on how you want to sustain in the long run.
Yep.
Instead just thinking about, what you will get from your sale.
Yes.
So there's two different things that, difference between entrepreneurship and business.
We more like having delay gratification. Like we will hope for a couple of timeline for 2 to 3 years, and then because we have vision. But some people who just think in the short term, they see the opportunities. Okay, I will grab the opportunities because not coming back. But we are as entrepreneur, we think for long term. We create the opportunities, not let the opportunity is something you have to create by yourself.
Jehan, have you met this kind of social entrepreneurship based on environment in Pahang or in other part of Malaysia? Or based on your experience?
So far, no. But what Dr. Dessy is doing is really wonderful, and I really do hope that it can be, adopted here also.
I see. Hopefully one day, yeah. So we
one
do
day.
have one question from Nurul Jannah Jalil. Dear panels, I have one question. It's about green purchase behavior. As we can see nowadays, many companies declared on their packaging that their bottle is from the recycle bottle, but it's still the transparent plastic bottle, and the buyers bought and thought that they have done the initiative to conserve and preserve the nature. But how far is it help in assisting the waste reduction at landfill, because the buyers still throw it away at the landfill? Can anyone of our panelists respond to this question?
Can I just say my piece on this?
Please, sure.
Okay.
Puan Jehan.
The thing is, because of the hype of if everything should be biodegradable, people are now selling like, okay, this is a biodegradable plastic,
True.
but it's still made out of a petroleum byproduct. So if it goes into the river,
Still the same.
Yeah, it becomes microplastic. It still poisons the river. It's only made with a material that is flimsier than the one previously. So it's biodegrade. It disintegrates. But what does it end up when it disintegrates? It becomes microplastic. It's eaten by the fishes, and we eat the fishes, and we poison ourselves. So the thing is, if you want to say that this is an alternative to plastic, it has to be botanical based, starch based. It has to be made of tapioca, or it has to be made, not a byproduct of petroleum. Okay? If you say that, okay, this is biodegradable, but it's still a byproduct of petroleum, it still poisons the earth when it biodegrades. Okay? If you want to give an alternative, it should be a botanical alternative that does not harm the earth when it biodegrades. That's my point of view, because I've seen a lot in market that they say, okay, we give you this plastic, but the plastic is still made out of petroleum byproduct, and it still ends up in our ocean. It still becomes microplastic, and it harms the earth in the long run.
It seems that it doesn't really answer the main question. The main issue.
It poisons the ocean faster lah, because it disintegrates faster.
True,
That's it, in my opinion.
Yeah. I do agree with you, because microplastic is much more dangerous. Is the common thing that we found in the ocean nowadays, because biodegradable plastic nowadays, like what Puan Jehan mentioned just now, it can be degraded into a tiny particles, which ends in the fish tummy, and in the end, we are the ones consuming the fish. So that
it comes back again to us being a smart consumer, knowing what is it that you bring back. Being a smart consumer, read labels. What is in the thing that you put on your skin? Being a smart consumer meaning making the right choices, not only for yourself but also for the environment. So even if you say they advertise it as, oh, this is green packaging, this is to sit down and think, is it really green, or is it just greenwashing? Yeah.
Okay.
Zach, can I add just a very few points about what Puan Jehan said?
Sure, please.
Right. So because what Puan Jehan said is true enough, it is biodegradable. So, and the outcome towards the end is not really what we set the objective, right? We want to the objective of all of this is to want to save the environment. You want to have a well-being in ourselves, right? So I think it goes back to the attitude, goes back to the habit. So that's the thing, mind setting and whatnot. So to me, if Zach asked me to answer this one, it not helps. Right. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Awanis. Thank you very much. We have one more question actually from our viewer. I think Joseph asked one more question. Would you recommend a natural lifestyle devoid of technological amenities to solve waste production, or the use of more advanced technology to eliminate waste? So he's trying to ask if we would like to go for a more natural method rather than focusing on, sophisticated technology to eliminate the waste. Anyone would like to respond on that question from Joseph?
My opinion is Joseph suggesting that we go and live off the grid. Because it's not practical. We need technology, we need our handphone, we need our laptop, we need everything, but we use this to good use, to furtherance of the betterment of the environment. So today's webinar is a good testimony on how technology is disseminating these ideas, and people are getting to be more aware of what other people are doing from other part of the world, like Dr. Desi in Indonesia, and what we are Dr. Awanis and me, we are doing here. So technology is important in the advancement of our protection of the earth, but we must use it wisely. As I keep reiterating, we must be a smart consumer. Only use what we need. We cannot be greedy and want to use everything. So just, enough for everybody's need, but not enough for everybody's greed.
In my opinion, it has to be balanced. It has to, even though the natural technology is much more easier, but somehow we need the recent science and technology to make it faster. For example, if you want to do a composting process, you can improve by using bacteria, you can add up some enzyme in it instead of just waiting for it to degrade on itself. So that is the difference between, that's how we integrate between technology and the natural process. Okay, so there's one more question from our friend from IIUM, from Dr. Muhammad Rusdi. My question to Desi: how does organization in Indonesia involve youth in environmental entrepreneurship activities? How does organization in Indonesia involve youth in environmental entrepreneurship activities?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I think it's now we are more aware about the environment, and then since that we start for ourselves in our company, we have our own movement, what we call it Adventure. So Adventure is about you claim yourself an adventure by you know what you do, not harm the environment. So that we ask everyone to involve with the movement, and the movement, then you start to post in social media and you ask others to follow you. We also have kind of a 7 days of kindness challenge, kind of like you can do kindness every day, just a small, maybe just smile to others, just to segregate your waste, or just to bring your tumbler instead of your bottle, plastic bottle, something like that. Then you share it. You do it a 7 days kind of kindness challenge, and then you share to the world, because the youngsters like to post everything in social media, right? Then you inspire other only for the small thing. So that's what we start to do, that one. And I think a lot of there are a lot of movement here in Indonesia about environment, because we are the second largest in the world for plastic producers, plastic waste producers. So I think that now the youngsters become understand well about that. And the worst part is because the pandemic, the numbers of waste is increased a lot. So now the new trend here in Indonesia for youngsters is about thrifting clothes. Then they start to check everything in their cupboard and see if they have some clothes that they're not going to use it, and they start to sell it. So we start, the youngsters start that kind of movement here also in Indonesia. Yeah.
So means to say that you've tried to attract the youngsters or the youth by fitting in their shoes. For example, if since nowadays the trend is more on social media, the trend is more on Twitter, Facebook. So you are trying to you've used that kind of platform to increase the awareness.
Yes,
isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, we have one more question from Mr. Nick Muhammad Ikram to Puan Jehan. The question is, how do you make sure your business is sustainable as what we call this social entrepreneurship, since we in social entrepreneurship always have two bottom line, double compared to the normal business, profit as well as impact intended. In this case, impact on environment. As always, awareness from consumer is key, I suppose.
How do I answer this question? Yeah, I think the thing is, when Starry Natural was set up, the whole objective was the environment. So the objective is making sure that no plastic for our product. And we try to reduce chemical also, so that no SLS, no SLE, no parabens, no phthalates go into the into the waterways. So as long as these objectives are met, I believe that my what do you call that? My business objective is being true to my objective, true to what I want it to be. And like I said earlier, I've said no to big orders when they insist it's packaged in plastic. I usually say no, I will not make it, or I'll send it to you naked. It's up to you to package it how you want, because the plastic will not come from me. If they agree, then I do it. That I think that at the end of the day, we have to be true to our objective and to our intention and motives, like Dr. Desi pointed out, motives. Why are you a sustainable entrepreneur if your motives are not right?
True.
Your motives must be there. If you start out with this motive, but you get swayed in the middle of the path because of the profit, then you're not a sustainable entrepreneur anymore. So the thing is, being true to your motives is very important. And I do believe that rezeki is everywhere. When you say no to a big one that wants plastic, there's always other part of rezeki that comes that does not make you have to dwell with plastic. Yeah,
So,
I hope this answers the question.
yeah, because it is a big challenge, especially when you want to change the not just to change the mentality of the user, but to change the we know that there's big companies behind, who's usually, if you what you are doing now, Puan Jehan, obviously those plastic producer will feel threatened, especially if we are trying, like, trying to come up with this kind of solution, trying to come up with this kind of ideology. But then that's the thing that we have to fight for, because the earth is going down and down and down yearly. So, but then there's no commitment shown by them. So I guess the niyat or the intention should be clear in the beginning to make sure that the destination can be achieved. We have one more question from there's quite a lot of questions to Puan Jehan actually. I need to choose. Okay, so there's one from Noor Alia. Okay, Puan Jehan, I read an article from the ministry, MIDA, that Malaysia is progressing in bioplastic production. If one day bioplastic are widely used and accessible, would you consider using it with your product as packaging, or would you still prefer to sell your products naked without packaging?
Oh, okay. Depending on how much the cost of this bioplastic lah. I heard also that bioplastic is progressing, but I also heard that the cost is not cheap. So if I intend to keep the price of my product as it is now, which is cheap, then using bioplastic would not be viable, because then I'll have to jack up the price.
True.
And it will be transferred to the what do you call that, to the consumers. So the thing is, if possible, I would like to remain plastic free, even if it's bioplastic. I would like to remain plastic free, and I believe that the market is big, and consumers, if they really want plastic, even if it's bioplastic, they can always go and get other type of products. I mean, Watson is full of it, Guardian is full of them. But we always target people who are like-minded, people who really are genuine about wanting to be plastic free and wanting to save the environment. So these like-minded people are our target consumers, our target users, our target customer. It's not about being rich here. It's about having like-minded people coming together, like-minded people supporting each other.
That is the challenge, I guess.
Precisely.
Because not everyone have the same kind of mentality of not being rich in terms of financially, kan? I mean, being rich of health is something. Being rich in terms of having a good environment is something different, rather than being rich in terms of, if you look at monetarily, if you look at in terms of financial, then it's quite difficult. I guess that's the big challenge that we have to tackle. Okay, that's interesting, Puan Jehan. Okay, Dr. Dessy, Prof. Jalal from IIUM, he asked, in Indonesia, is there any project or activities to make fish waste to wealth? And also, question to Puan Jehan as well, Head of MNS Pahang can provide some info regarding this matter. MNS doing any relevant fish waste to wealth matter? So he's trying to ask if there's any project in Indonesia that utilize fish waste to convert it into something beneficial that can be sold. And also he asked about some input from Puan Jehan based on her experience in the Malaysian Nature Society, if there's any similar activity conducted in Malaysia.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. It's like we have it here in Indonesia because I work a lot with startup and also SMEs here back in Indonesia. So, and one of our platform working with central bank, then we created every year that what we call it kind of selected the best innovation around Indonesia that we call it Youth Economic Leadership Program. So for this year, we have one startup that work to they enterprise make fish waste into they make it into fertilizers. And then they make it also for to feed the animals. So it's really that's in East Java, and then they already there for 4 years. So yeah, it's so they actually quite big, and then they started 4 years ago. They start to clean up the because there are a lot of fishermen, and then they have their own pond, but then they have a problem with the fish waste, and then it costs also another cost to clean up. So they try to make it and try to find a way. So they make it like kind of circular economy. So they make it into fertilizers and also animal feed. Then they have another part of business. So they feed the animals. They have another business unit to sell the fertilizers. So that's what they do in East Java.
Interesting.
Okay, kalau here in Kuantan, MNS is working with Roots by Kebun Kota. Have you heard of Kebun Kota?
Yeah.
Okay, it's an urban farm here in town. So they also have tilapia and catfish there. And what they do is the water from the wastewater from the fish tank is used to fertilize plants. And these plants usually grow very, very, what do you call that? Very well when it's fertilized by the fish wastewater. And the plants are then harvested, and we sell them as products in Cafe Roots by Kebun Kota. So if you come and eat at Roots by Kebun Kota, it's all vegetables that harvested from Kebun Kota that is fertilized by the tilapia and catfish water tank. So we don't use fresh water to fertilize the vegetables there, but we use the water from the fish tanks. So nothing goes to waste. It goes back to the earth. It goes back to the vegetables, and the vegetables get their nutrition from the fish wastewater. And then the vegetables are then harvested and then brought to Roots, Cafe Roots, and we sell them as plant-based diet there. Okay, I hope it answers the answer.
I think I've tried some quite few menus in Roots by Kebun Kota. I would say that it is very tasty. It feels I can feel the natural when I tasted some of the menu in the restaurant. Okay, so to make this session more understandable by our viewers, okay, so let's try to make a short workshop lah, I would say kan. So just to give our audience and myself personally, because I've never came across this concept, not on waste to wealth, but on the social entrepreneurship part. So I have made some homework that I would like to share with you. So let me share with you for a while. So can you see my slide?
Yes, sir. Yes,
okay. Can what do you think about this? What do you think about this slide? Does it actually represent a flow chart of social entrepreneurs, the flow chart, the framework, I would say, of social entrepreneurship based on waste to wealth concept. Because I just want our audience to get some idea on how they can start, the waste to wealth punya entrepreneurship.
Dr. Z, right now we can't see the slide. We cannot see the slide.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I think you have to reshare. Thank you.
Now, can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, good. So what I wrote here is, we need to, I hope Dr. Dessy or anyone can correct me if I'm wrong. So we have to come up with a mission statement. And then we know that in social entrepreneurship, we have to consider both social impact and environmental impact. And then you need to identify the social issue that you would like to tackle. For example, the low income during this pandemic. Okay, and then we also need to identify the potential targeted community. For example, if we want to target on the marginalized communities in Kuantan, Pahang, Malaysia, okay, and then we can help to develop the strategy on how to help this targeted community, such as knowledge transfer from university, from industry to them, to the community, and also to conduct some regular workshop and monitoring. On the environmental part, first we have to identify and characterize type of waste. We have a lot of type of waste. We have plastic waste, food waste, agricultural waste, the electronic waste, and many more and type of waste. So from here, we can identify which one that we would like to focus and what is the main focus that need to be highlighted in Malaysia, for example. And then we can come up with a mission statement. For example, I give you example here to reduce food waste dump in Jabo landfill in Kuantan. Okay, so and then after that we can identify, because in entrepreneurship we need to have a new innovation, right? So we had to identify unique innovation to cater to deal with this problem, which is, for example, we can design an online system app that where food waste can be collected at home and can be segregated according to categories. Okay, so after that we need also to identify potential product generated from the waste. For example, if it comes from fruit based product, it can be converted into nanocellulose or nanosilica, which has a lot of demand from the industry. And also from the food waste, organic waste can be converted into fertilizer and also as well as compost. And then we should identify the potential buyer in the market. For example, can it be so? Can we sell the product using online platform nowadays? Because we cannot, the movement is very limited, that we have to use online platforms such as Shopee, Lazada, eBay, or we can just sell it to the local farmers or communities. What do you think about this flowchart? Do you think this is the thing that is required when any one of us in the webinar today would like to start their own social entrepreneurship based on the waste to wealth concept? Can anyone respond to this? I'm sorry if it's not correct, because this is my own homework. I just did it last night. So because I think that we need to have some kind of activity to make sure that everyone understand and clear about the thing that we are discussing today.
Can I give a comment in here?
Sure, please.
Yeah. So for example, here it's like it's in ideal, yes, you can write down like this one.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to start by yourself, you can start alone first.
Okay.
Because sometimes when you talk about social entrepreneurship, it's just like dancing alone until people believe you enjoy in the crowd.
All right.
Yeah, because that's about changing the mindset of many people. So you can start, you have a mission, you have a motive on it. You can start by yourself, start from your inner circle. Maybe you start from your family, your friends there. Then people start to believe you, then you can make a team members.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the team members will be loyal at you because they're loyal for the missions. They're loyal for the motives. They have the similar motive because they know that's important already. So that's the, I mean, like you also can start from that. But I think Point Jehan has that kind of experience before start become big, right? And then also for social impact and environmental impact, then you can make it connected to each other. So for example, like you want to make a product that environmental friendly, not harm the environment, and to help the environment. And then, you know, there are some people, they have, you want to leverage their life, and then they can put them in the chain. So they not become the one to only receive the benefit, but you will empower them to leverage themselves. So you put them in the supply chain, in the value chain, instead of make them separate and then receive the benefit from that, because they're not going to change themselves, not see this important. So by involve them in the supply chain or the value chain, it makes them improve themselves. The quality of their life, it will be improved as well. So then they will become loyal into the change, and then they become the actor for the environment as well. Now, economic and environment, they have both in that one. So yeah, but to start it, I can say like you can start from anything, any part. But the most important is, what is your motive? So motive is very important here. Yes.
So it means to say that if it is not wrong to make money from waste, right? But it has to be embedded with some social responsibility to make sure that the main objective can be achieved.
Yeah, because many people, they start to make money from waste, so that's why they don't want to solve the problem of the social environmental problem, because they know that a lot of money is there. But so that we have to change that things. It's not only about money. It's there are bigger than that one. Then you have to understand that. So that's why motive is very important here.
True. That is, I do agree with what has been mentioned by Dr. Desi. Okay, so we can, I think we don't have that much time, but we will take one more last question from our audience. We do have one question to Dr. Awanis. Okay, Dr. Awanis, many awareness campaign for the 3R have been implemented in Malaysia. But how about in sustaining the consumer's behavior in 3R? Can you share some activities that can be done?
All right, thank you, Zach. Okay, yes, I think everyone aware, I think globally aware about this thing, about the 3R. The famous 3R is reduce, what's that? Reduce, reuse,
Use and recycle.
Recycle, yes.
Yeah.
So, right. So this is the famous 3R. But how we want to sustain this consumer behavior is through their understanding. So the understanding will make them sustain, will make them aware, and will make them what we can say that they have the continuous commitment toward this. If they don't understand, so they cannot doing it. So the understanding is through the experience. So how to make it them understand? But like other panelists said, we need to ask them to do together. We cannot ask them, hey, do that, but you don't doing it. So you have to show your example, right? So as like a panelist said that we should do from the baby step. Like myself, I'm start with my house first. So I'm starting with my house first. Even my children is doing what is it? Worm farm, compost. So throughout this thing, they're learning something. They learn. So when they learn, they can see that, oh, mama, worm can eat this. So we can have this soil. Oh, mama, we can plant this. We can plant that. So from that, so when they grow up, inshallah, they will practice this. I think continuous throughout their life. So how to sustain is throughout their understanding. How to give the understanding is through their experience by ask them to together, and number two by showing them the things, and number three, even though some things, okay, let me say a very simple, very short example. I I once go to the restaurant. I want to buy takeaway food. I bring the stuff in. I bring the container. Ask them to put in my container. They refuse. They say that it's tedious. So
Yeah.
it's okay. Don't be upset. Maybe only that shop. You should try again. Right. So the continuous support, you need to have that continuous support. So understanding, awareness, information you provided, sharing example, all this is will collaborate together, integrate together, and end up this a good result, inshallah. All right.
After all, I guess it's more on being brave to make a change, I guess. Because when you talk about bringing tiffin to restaurant, I mean, my wife did the same most of the time. Obviously, when you do that, when we do that, people might look like quite weird about this kind of attitude. But we do have our own goal that we want to achieve on the reason why we bring that kind of stuff, why we do that kind of attitude is the kind of but then you have to also remember that other people are looking. You know, when you bring something, when you bring your own pack to restaurant, for example, it might look you know, not to say weird, is quite rare for the seller. But then for the other customer, when they look at your attitude and when they look at your action, they will start thinking, um, I need to do this too, you know, especially the young kids, because they learn from their observation. What they observe is what they learn most of the time, right? So I do believe that we need to you know, be brave, just to, if you cannot make a change, a big change to our country or to our society, we obviously can make change by starting from our own self. Is it correct?
Yes, correct.
All right, good. So unfortunately, we our time is very limited. I am very sorry. I would like to apologize to all of our viewers. If you do still have any more questions that you would like to ask, I believe that this kind of sharing session should be done again and again. You know, should involve many more community stakeholders, because this is the kind of platform that we can share our thoughts, and also we can exchange the activities. Based on our discussion just now, Puan Jehan has given us a lot of example on her personal experience and also the things that has been done in Malaysia, and also that Desi have shared with us a lot of you know, activities or social entrepreneurship examples, success story which has been done in Indonesia that can be implemented in Malaysia and also in other countries as well. So I personally hope that we all can learn from this talk. And thank you again to all of our panelists for with us today, to Dr. Awanis, to Dr. Dessy, to Puan Jehan, and also, of course, not to forget to all of our viewers from Malaysia, Indonesia, and any other parts of the world. Thank you for joining us and making this session alive and impactful towards the betterment of our environment and community. On behalf of the organizer, I would like to apologize due to some technical glitches happening throughout our session. And I would like to take this opportunity as well to thank the organizer, to Dr. Muhammad Majid, and also to Dr. Azmi for giving me the chance to moderate this session. And also, I would like to remind for those who are interested to get the e-certificate, you might do so by responding to the link provided in the chat, in the chatting box in our discussion today. Again, I would like to apologize for any miscommunication or any inaccuracy information that I've given throughout this session. Indeed, I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot from Puan Jehan. I've learned a lot from Dr. Desi, and I've learned a lot from Dr. Awanis. And I do hope all of our viewers can get the same take-home message as well. So, but before we leave, we can we have a photo session for a while with the panelists? Maybe for those who are interested, you can just switch on your camera and I will just take a snap. Okay. Okay. All right. 1, 2, 3. Smile. Okay. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much. Take care. We are still far from winning this battle. Please get yourself booked for vaccination. Thank you very much. Keep in touch. Keep supporting our environmental movement. In any part of the world, we have to support each other, especially in Asia. We have to work together. We have to collaborate. We have to work collectively in order to achieve our main mission in taking care of our environment. So with that, thank you very much and goodbye.
Thank you so much, Dr. Zak.
Thank you, Dr. Desi.
Thank you all.
Thank you,
Terima
Puan
kasih
Jehan.
semua. Terima
all,
kasih Dr.
Dr.
Zack, Dr.
Muhammad.
Dessy dan Dr. Awanis.
Thank you.
Awanis.
Bye, sir.
Bye.